Hi friends. If you want to check out how we can use Sydney Grace's Autumn's Rain eyeshadow palette, then please keep on watching. Hi, my name is Alicia. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. And if you are returning, thank you so much for visiting me again. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves things all movement and beauty. If you want to check out what I do in between the makeups, you can head over to my Instagram. I thought, why not finally come on camera and show how I've been using my Sydney Grace Autumn Rain eyeshadow palette, which I am fully aware of is no longer available. I'm not sure if it will ever come back in stock. Currently, it is still listed as an eyeshadow bundle, 15 singles that make up the Autumn Rain palette, if you will. And the pans are magnetic, so whatever Z palette or empty palette you have, you could use to house those shadows in, and it's $50 for 15 singles. Again, is no longer in stock. I'm not sure if she's gonna bring it back, but I do know when I did purchase this, it was during a restock, because when I had my eye on it, it wasn't available. And I bought it, and it took me a long time to dive in, and I wanted to make this video because initially when I finally put all the shadows in their allotted slots, I looked at it and I had a hard time grasping the color story. I had a hard time navigating it. And it was only maybe a few weeks ago that I was like, you know what, I need to use this palette because I feel like I'm missing out. And man, I am so happy that I finally gave the time this palette deserved, because I feel despite how the colors are arranged, they all just blend harmoniously together in terms of texture, in terms of shade. So we're gonna dive in, and I'm actually gonna use all 15, and I'm gonna go by column, right? So this is a look, this is a look, this is a look, that's you see. And also keep in mind, you don't actually have to approach the palette in that way. You could do half a row, you could do a diagonal, you could do a quad. So I think she arranged this quite cleverly in that the way the shadows are situated, I mean, you could do what you want. And I think before I was doing the typical, you know, start with the basic beige matte and then go in with the neutral shades. But then I forced myself to just use the shades that I gave myself to blend with. And I think that's what I'll do today, and to show you, no matter how you cut it, you will be successful in creating eye looks using this palette. So with that said, this is not necessarily a review, since this palette or this bundle is no longer available in the time being. Don't know if that will change, as I said. And with that said, there will not be any swatches or product details about it, because I'm sure there are plenty of videos reviewing this palette when it released initially. So if you want to head over to those videos, come back, do whatever you want to do. And with that said, alright, I think I would like to reapply my Anastasia eye primer, because I applied it, then I decided I wanted to run an errand or two, and we gotta re-zhuzh that up. So this is the primer that I'm using. I'm trying to use more of a traditional primer versus a concealer, because despite how successful I feel I am using a concealer, I believe concealers are still formulated to look smooth on drier skin that exists under the eyes. And I actually have oily lids. They tend to be oily. So using a primer, an actual eye primer, I feel helps to keep those oils at bay and contributes to longer lasting shadow looks. Just buffing in my nose pads from my glasses. We'll start with Queen of the North, which is just your basic beigey matte, but we'll pop that onto the arch first. Also, the role this shade could possibly take is to buff out all their shades in here if by chance you overblended or you took your shadow too far out. That's probably what you could use Queen of the North for. Now, traditionally, if you've seen a lot of influencer videos, you would go in with your matte first and then your shimmer. I'm actually going to show you how beautifully formulated these shimmers are. I'm sorry if they're metallic and I'm calling them shimmer, because it's hard for me to distinguish between the two. So I'm just gonna say shimmer for consistency's sake, okay? And go in with the matte afterwards. Go in my Sonaji worker 3 with Amber Jewels. I'm going to start that on the inner part of my eye. What I appreciate about Sydney Grace is that she gives you an ingredient breakdown in terms of these are the ingredients you see in her shadows, and she explains as to why they are included. I think that's great communication, and also if you are an ingredient nerd, you can, see why she chose the ingredients that she did. So even though this is technically a shimmer, I'm going to grab a fluffier brush just so you can see. This is my Wayne Goss number 3 from his Anniversary 2 set with no additional product. But these are really smooth, friends, so you don't necessarily have to exclusively use a shimmer on your lid. You could really move around the product beautifully, and it kind of diffuses. You can take that same shade on a fluffy brush if you wanted, and you could apply that in towards your crease. Technically, you could apply Amber Jewels all over and just that be your one shadow look. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it all over the lid and primarily keep it slightly under the crease here. Use my fluffy brush to diffuse the edges, because then what we'll do is go in with Countess. Now, I understand this is like a lavender type of shade, but I'm interested to see what we can do with this. So I'm placing Countess on the edges of Amber Jewels so we could smoke it out a little more. And I think that's such a lovely combination. Lifting my lid so I could see what I'm blending. And then of course, as I like to do, pull my shadow out slightly into that V point. You could keep it more round depending on how you like to wear your shadow. So that we're done. That's the first look, friends. And despite the arrangement you see here, it works out, right? It works out. Countess is like a light lavender shade that melts very well with Amber Jewels. I like it a whole lot. Now let's quickly go to the other eye, and down this column, we could technically go in with Palace first using my same Wayne brush. And for this, if you want, you can start with the fluffier brush and apply this pink shade on the crease. And these mattes are fantastic. I do feel they need some building, but not as much building as Juvia's Place mattes. I feel you have to go in a few times depending on the color richness you wish to achieve, depending on the shade from Juvia's Place palette. But Sydney Grace, I feel like they build up reasonably, right? I feel like I'm too bright. That's a little better. So this is my third, maybe fourth time going in with the pink shade, only because I really wanted to show up on this crease. So that's why I'm going in as many times as I am. Brilliant Realm of Masonergy, crease 2. And start tapping that onto the outer portion, my outer V of the lid. I think this is a great combination of shades. And I'm swirling and twirling until I get it to look diffused and how I want it. And with the lighter hand, I'm starting to pull the shadow to match up with the V shape that I created with the pink shade. Whenever you want the color to show up more rich, go in with a smaller packing brush. This is the Esom W21 with that purple shade, and then tap it where you want the most color to appear. So it really shows up super purple. And then you go in with the smaller brush. I'm actually going to take my rougher number, I believe this is 14, and then connect what we did on the outer corner when patting down more of the shadow. So we bumped up the color richness and just improved the diffusing finish, or diffused finish I should say. So from here we could go in with our worker 3 again, but now with Magnificent Chestnut, and that will be our standout lid color. Going in from the inner portion and tapping, pulling it across the lid and joining it with that purple shade. And these shimmers are just fantastically easy to apply. You see the glide and the ease of application and blend. I will say, because of that, if you want show-stopping special effects shades, she might have something in here that would kind of resemble that, but I feel you might have to dip out and tap something on these finishes to bump up the sparkle and the dazzle. Taking more of Palace, that first matte shade we began blending with, that first matte shade we applied, now just further buffing the edges overall. So it works out, right? Because you see pink, purple, and bronze, and you're like, is that gonna look okay? And it does, it does. And just to quickly go over, you could have went in with this quad. For instance, go in with this shade first, followed by that deeper purple matte, and then probably this on the majority of the lid, and then this more on the inner corner. That could have been a look as well. Let's now finish the lower lash line. I will pick out a smaller brush as I want to control the blend and the distribution. Amber Jewels with my Esom W21. Get the majority of the color there first. I think I want something a little thicker. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go in with my Refer number 14 again to really fluff that out. And then Countess with that lavender shade under Amber Jewels to further diffuse and connect to what's happening up top. Taking my Tuckahoe Z blending eye brush just to further smooth out these edges. Esom W23 with Magnificent Chestnut on the inner portion of my eye, lower lash line I should say, inner and then middle. But then we'll take Brilliant Realm, that purple matte, combining that with Magnificent Chestnut and then pulling it out to the outer corner. Taking my Refer number 14 with Palace, that pink matte, and pulling it under both shades to again diffuse. Now if you want to use, depending on your skin tone, you could probably use Golden Scepter as your standout inner corner highlight, or you could use Queen of the North as a matte inner corner highlight moment for both, for any of the, you know, combinations you decide to do here. So that's going to give you a matte highlight, but if you insist on using something shimmery, then I would just go in with the highlighter you happen to be using on the day you are using this matte. I was trying to think of a word other than use, but my brain failed me. All right, friends, let's get these lashes on and I'll be right back. Here's the finished look on the lashes. I have Naked Lashes from Ardell in 424, and I actually popped on Hourglass's, what is this called? Scattered Light? Hold on. The Scattered Light Glitter Eyeshadow in Molten. I thought it was pretty close in shade with Amber Lights, Amber Jewels. I couldn't find anything. I mean, I could probably find something for Magnificent Chestnut, but I kind of like how it looks on its own. But this is how both lids look up close. And on the lips, I have Patrick Ta's lip liner in She's Bold with Natasha Denona's I Need a Nude lipstick in the shade Sammy. I would actually go out like this because why not? I feel like with 15 shadows, you could probably make it so they both look similar but still have used different techniques. But yeah, I think this is marvelous. I love this color scheme. You got the amber maroon with that beautiful lavender matte to smoke out, and then you have a little bit of both worlds with the purple and then the more bronze color on the lid. And keep in mind, you could apply any of these shimmers by themselves. They blend out. They don't need a matte for them to be blended, and you could just use that as your one shade eyeshadow look, or you could use the mattes to blend the edges out, combining shades as you like. So here are the first two looks. Hopefully it kind of helped you navigate if you were having trouble with those shades in particular. And with that said, let's move into the next two columns. I know I look a little crazy. I reapplied my ABH just on the lids, and when we're done with the look, I will then reapply concealer when we get there. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, Alicia, how are you going to tackle this column? Golden Scepter first on the inner part of the lid, and then what is this called? Sovereign Rain on the outer V, and then taking this shade on the crease. Golden Scepter with my W23, patting that on the inner portion of my lid, patting down so I can get the majority of the color there. And some of these I feel apply beautifully with a finger if you just want to see what Golden Scepter can do. Look at that. Oh, I'm not going to use my middle finger because she's chipped. So you get really nice color payoff, and that's a beautiful gold shade. I'm going to cut down on the wrong arrow exposure a little bit just so you can see the actual shade because it's so pretty. So Najit worker 3. Now with that purple shimmer on the outer V. This is a jarring combination, but it works out. I promise, friends, it works out. We actually can pull the purple over Golden Scepter a little more. I probably could have kept Golden Scepter more here, which is what I did last time actually. I took the majority of Sovereign Ring on the lid and then Golden Scepter on the inner corner as the highlight shade. But you know what? It's okay. We're gonna be okay. Supreme Harvest now with a clean Wayne Gauze number 3. I almost was gonna say number 4, but I don't have number 4. And using that shade to blend out Sovereign Ring. And we'll go back with that shade to bump up the color richness again. Because you see it kind of took away from the purple a little bit. Taking my finger and I'm patting it down. Actually, I think that's gonna be the best. Not only on the outer V, but also more on the lid, bringing it closer in towards the inner part of the lid, and I think that will serve as a better gradient. You could also take a smaller crease brush, and this is my, again, reference number 14, and zhuzh that purple shimmer through with the red matte and sweep it across the edges of Golden Scepter and even bringing it out a little bit. And with no additional product on my number 3, actually I'm going to wipe it first, go back in and further diffuse the edges. So you see how it kind of works out? I know you were a little worried there. I felt it. We did get fallout, but you know what? It's all good because I'm going to apply concealer anyway. Now for this eye I love because now we're going in with this beautiful olive shade. So we could actually go in with that first. Why don't we do that? I'm taking that olive shade all over my lid. This is probably one of my most favorite colors here in the palette. Look how beautifully green that is. Really easy to blend, super easy to apply, and you could actually just use this as your one and done shade. Absolutely. Now I understand we're getting messy. I totally get it. You don't have to be as haphazard as I am. You gotta like wipe it off or what have you, but what we'll do now is just use that tan matte on the top, giving my Wayne Gauze number 3 a wipe and going in with Nature's Crown, this matte here, and using that shade to now fix my mess. And with that, we could actually further move that green shimmer around a little better so it could look more diffused. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. You saw how tragic it looked for one moment, but these move around pretty well, friends. Don't feel once you applied it on your lid that all hope is lost and you have no chance of fixing that application if it ended up the way that it did here. You can certainly use your brush to move the pigments around and it's gonna look beautiful. Now on my Esum W21 with that pewter shade on the inner corner, and I'm bringing it over the olive as well. This is so gorgeous. This has really nice, it almost has a shift to it. It shifts from, or to I should say, like a lighter greeny yellow. Really pretty. So dare I say it's a duochrome. Wondrous Night is what it's called. This color, not the olive, I'm sorry. Wondrous Night, this shade here on the inner part of my eye. Fallen Splendor, this beautiful duochrome on the rest of the lash line. Just patting down where I feel I need a little more color. Taking my little, actually, this is my Hakuhodo, oh I can't even read it, my 146, I believe. Nature's Crown. Just to zhuzh the edges here. I like to zhuzh around here. Golden Scepter right here. Sovereign Ring right here. I'll pull it all the way across actually and then use this Harvest, Supreme Harvest right under and connect both top and lower lash line. I could also use concealer to kind of clean that up a little bit better. Now for this, I could very much go in with my Hourglass, this color here that I have, Vivid. I think it will look so beautiful on top of Fallen Splendor. Wouldn't it though? Oh my gosh. I'm gonna pat that. Oh yes, there we we go. Hello, hello. Now, probably doing that, well, I feel it would kind of enhance the duochrome flip of it a little bit. I feel that a little bit of sparkly, you know, a little sparkly. Let's put on these lashes, apply some concealer, and I'll be right back. Finished up, lashes still the same, Ardell Naked Lashes, and actually also, I have the Fenty Fly Pencil in Bang Tank on this waterline, and Purple Stuff on this waterline. I thought they paired really nicely together, giving the shadows that we had, and also I took Linda's Ori, no, I dropped Bang Tank. Ori Flash on the inner corner here. Ori Flash is more of a yellow gold versus Golden Scepter, which takes on a little more warmth, but I applied more on the inner corner as my highlight, and I'm sure I have something similar in shade for this, but I thought the pewter shade was enough on its own from the palette to serve as our inner corner highlight. And yeah, these are the lids up close. And here is a wide shot of both eye looks. On the lips, I have Esam's Dual Lip Liner in Nude, followed by Natasha Denona's I Need a Nude in Noah, topped with her Lip Euphoria gloss in Nude. And I love how this works out. I know that this is a lot with the red and the purple, but I think it just works so beautifully together. And you can't go wrong with an all olive eye, especially with this duochrome. I truly think there's something going on in this shade. It's not just olive green. There's like a lighter green shift in here. And I feel this shade is so good to use with any of the shimmers in here. If you want to buff out Magnificent Chestnut or buff out even Wondrous Night, if you want to put that all over the lid instead. What about Amber Jewels? Or you could pair these two together to make it more red in tone instead of more like, since we applied with Countess on the first look, it took on more of a purple look, right? So depending on which matte you pair with what shimmer will determine the overall tone of your eye. And I think you have so many opportunities here to do that, and you don't have to stick with the column looks that I have been doing, but hopefully you can see with how we've been applying the shadows how these just all pair beautifully together, and you could go crazy. All right, now we have this last column, which is a lot of fun. I think I want to do that column, of course, but you know what? I'm actually going to do two different looks using the same column. We'll do Ultra Smoky using this on the lid and that on the outer corner, but then we'll go in and just primarily use this on the lid and then maybe use these shades as like a colorful wing. How does that sound? Well, I'll see you back here in a bit. Last two looks. We could approach this in several ways. If you feel more comfortable doing so, you can apply Nature's Own first, follow with Golden Wheat, and then go in with Majestic Breeze if you feel more comfortable with that setup. I'm actually going to go straight in to Moonlit Kingdom. I'm going to apply this all over my lid first, followed by Majestic Breeze, and then Golden Wheat. Taking my oh god, already too high, Alicia, too high. This is a beautiful navy like shade. It has really nice sheen to it, and you see, I mean, very easy to cover the lid. My goodness. I'm gonna leave it just like that so you can see how everything's gonna be all right. Esam S33 with Majestic Breeze. Using a smaller brush just so I could better judge the color and keep it a little lower so that we could then use Golden Wheat to blend out the edges. And following that line to keep that shape consistent, lifting my lid so I can see what's happening. Esam G34 with Golden Wheat. Very lightly now on the topmost edges of Majestic Breeze, just to create a little more diffusing here. I'm actually going to I'll take a softer brush because I don't want to over manipulate the shadow. Going in with my Wayne 16, since this is a softer brush, I don't have to worry about the shadow moving too much, but keeping it where I would like it to, which is right here under the brow bone. Now we can still go in with this shade on more in the inner corner, but what I want to do, I want to go in with Fallen Splendor on the inner corner. That's right. I think these two shades look so beautiful together. Look at that. Such a great combination, especially when you overlap them a little bit. I feel they blend beautifully together. Look how pretty that, look at this. This shade is insane. I mean, joof! I'm just going back with my S33 so I can better smooth this out. Just we're using the very tip of the brush, but because I have to apply concealer here anyway, I'm not too worried about that just yet. I could always do this just to kind of buff the edges a little bit, but this is not the most precise brush to do that with. I don't know where my flat matte concealer brush is. I don't know where it is. Now for this, what happened here? Excuse me. I'm actually going to start out with Nature's Crown. Apply that on the crease first so you can maybe see that in action by itself. This is a really great color. And just bring it out a little bit. I'm bringing that closer to the lid because I want to set up a nice base for Golden Wheat, as I think I want to apply Golden Wheat all over the lid. Taking my very old MAC flat shader with Golden Wheat and just pulling that across the lid. So you could keep it just like this and have it as one all matte look. That could totally be a thing. And now with Golden Wheat on my Wayne Goss number 16, I'm just buffing in through the crease. Now, I felt from my Linda Hallberg crayon collection that a Crooks Flash looked the best with Moonlit Kingdom. So with that said, I'm gonna try my very best to start sketching along my lash line. Kind of messily because we'll go in with a small brush to manipulate it so it could look more like a wing. Keeping it just like that. Now my little Hakuhora, I think this is like my G5531, something like that. I'm gonna start pulling the liner across so we could shape this wing. I'm taking Moonlit Kingdom and I'm gonna start patting it onto the liner and actually start to create the point of the wing. You can make this wing as big or as small as you like. I think I'm gonna go in between. Not too big, not too small either, because we want to see it. Not too bad. I actually probably could have used Fenty Pencil's navy color as well. I think that could have been a good one as too. But it's all right. I think we did it, friends. That's not too bad at all. Majestic Breeze, the matte pine shade on the inner part. So you won't see it really, but just to create that gradient. Taking my Hourglass concealer in Sienna with my Wayne number 8 brush and using that to just shape this, since Sienna will be my concealer of choice anyway, to sharpen that wing. I'm picking up too much of the pigment, so I have to make sure every time I go back in that technically I should be wiping the brush. I always have my concealer brush on standby so you can buff away any of that overcoloring that might have occurred. Using my G34 brush just to make this appear a little smoother. So I rely on this brush since it is stiffer than my Wayne brush to move pigment around that I feel needs a little more zhuzhing, and that, see how it just moves it around really quickly. For the lower lash line, very simple. We'll take Moonlit Kingdom again and pull that across the lower lash line. Let's actually see what navy or dye looks like. Oh yeah, that's pretty. I think this is a little more teal, and navy or dye, as you see, is definitely a little more blue, but it works out. Just gonna put a little bit right at the lash line so the band can melt together well with the lashes, and just further blending that. Fallen Splendor on the inner part of the lid or eye. Queen of the North with my Smith 256, just so you can see what I was talking about earlier, how you can use this shade to buff down what needs a little buffing down. So if you thought that I came too close to the brow, that you can use a soft flat brush with that shade and use it as your eraser, so you see it's a lot smoother and a lot diffused looking. Even here, I could use some cleaning up on the inner part of the eye, so you can go in with Queen of the North again, or just use the brush to manipulate the pigment. And I'm going to pat down here so the primer just melts better with the bridge of my nose. Now for this, I'm gonna keep it bare. I'm gonna keep it bare. I'm not gonna put anything on the lower lash line, just concealer. So with that said, let me get to it and come back on here with some lashes. Here's the final look. I have the same Ardell lashes, the naked lashes, 424, and here's a close-up of the lid. I really love how both eye looks came out, especially the wing. It wasn't a disaster, but I'm happy we left the lower lash line bare just so that the upper lash line could take precedence of this look. And of course, this is like the smokiest I feel out of all the 6 that we've done in this video. So hopefully you like it. Oh, and I applied Queen of the North, the beige matte on the inner corner, because even though there's a lot of metallic on the wing liner, I thought to just tie in the matte lid with a matte inner corner highlight. And here's a wide shot of the final look. On the lips, I just have Natasha Denona's Lip Euphoria in mauve. I didn't put any liner, I just slapped on the gloss because I'm getting a little lazy. I'm really happy with this turned out. I thought it might have been a flop, but it's fun just to pair a neutral matte lid with a more colorful metallic wing. And these shadows are just so easy to move around and spread and blend that I thought it very simple and easy to create this. Now, my little Hakuhodo brush is like the MVP. I stuck her somewhere. I don't know where she is, but that brush, I'll put the correct number down below, is my godsend alongside Sonia G's soft shader. Is it mini soft? The mini shader? The reason I use the Hakuhodo one is because I believe it's a mix of natural and synthetic fibers, and since I was using a cream product initially, I did not want to ruin the dyed goat hair bristles on Sonia's brush. But if I were just exclusively using the shadow and not the liner, that brush would have been fine and you would have been really successful in creating this wing. It's so pretty. I love it. Alright friends, those are all the looks. Hopefully this video helped. If you happen to have this palette and you are having trouble using it, if you just weren't grabbing the inspo or didn't feel inclined to use it, hopefully this video helped with that. I absolutely love this palette, and if you have it and haven't been using it, take her out. I think this is definitely one of my favorite palettes in terms of just the different looks you can create from this. It's just insane. Smoky wing liner, super basic with the all matte looks. I think you could go nuts with the possibilities, with the different combinations. So do let me know if this video helped, what your favorite colors are from this palette, what your favorite looks have been. And until then, friends, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I'll see you on here again with another tutorial, review, get ready with me, or Friday night chit chat. Take care and I'll see you again soon.